Welcome to the post show at the Ballito Pro, presented by O'Neill. Prime surf season in South Africa, and it's been absolutely pumping throughout this event so far. Locals are getting pretty excited about conditions for this morning. They weren't lying. We had pumping conditions, amazing scores, loads of good talking points from a big day of competition. And here to give their thoughts and insights, Mike Fruit, Gig Cilliers. How are we feeling, guys?
Hey, that was a fantastic morning of surfing, and it was so interesting to see the tactics in those heats. Yesterday the surfers were surfing against the ocean as well as against each other, and it was great to see in a lot of the heats the use of priority to get those heat wins.
Gigs, have you enjoyed what you've seen and called so far this morning?
Yeah, well, Travis Logie's picked it perfectly. We got going in some pretty solid conditions this morning, and then it was almost a late start to the offshores, but when they came, well, that set the pace for it. Of course, we're plagued a bit with those northerly winds now, but if you look at the day as a bookend, I love the theme. The former CT surfers, there's a few in the story, and then, well, here come the new challengers, as we expect on the Challenger Series.
Well, surfers flying high on the Challenger Series rankings. We're down to business from the get-go here this morning. Let's check out our first heat to open the round from what we just saw for the women. And we talk about that battle of youth versus experience. We know all about the experience of Sally Fitzgibbons, but she's surfing with youthful exuberance, and she ripped this heat, Mike.
She looked fast and loose, and we saw her pop a nice aerial maneuver in order to throw some great variety in that heat. Luana Silva really battled it out, and it was close between them, but in the end, Sally's pedigree and all those years on tour really shone through. We see this was the wave, I think, that had the air on it. She comes through to the inside, uses that section as a ramp, great body control over the board and rides it out. And Luana Silva, she answered straight back, and we saw solid surfing from Luana, but not quite enough to match the form that Sally is in this event so far.
Yeah, Gigs, both of these two coming in the top 10. Of course, Sally flying high in those ratings, going really well. And that's going to feel great for her to come back to quarterfinals.
Yeah, 12 actually plays at 10.9. Good numbers from both of them, as you would expect, both of them with that CT experience. But Sally Fitzgibbons has got a massive following, as I'm noticing. Roms just flocking around. There's something, the tangible presence of Sally Fitzgibbons here at this event. And she hasn't been here since 2008. And that was her springboard to qualification that year. She hasn't been back, so she's embracing it. She's spoken about mixing it up with the younger surfers. And, yep, everybody is loving Sally Fitzgibbons in town.
Mike, progression's been an important part of the conversation for various levels on tour this year. And Sally, going to the inside there, we were calling that heat, and we thought, okay, this is a softer wave. It's not offering loads of points. She flares up, goes above the lip, stomps the rotation. Crowd love it. It's great to see her in this kind of form.
It's been great to see so many youngsters come down to particularly watch those women's heats, a lot of the young girls from the area. And we heard a cheer erupt from the beach out there as she landed that little aerial maneuver. It was great to see.
All right, well, we've been talking about where scores are coming for various types of surfing throughout competition here at Ballito. The tubes haven't been scoring highly until today. Opening heat of the round. This guy leading the Challenger Series. Unbelievable heat, Mike.
This heat was absolutely fire stacked. It was incredible to watch. The waves just poured through the heat, and it set the tone for the rest of the day. The excitement was tangible.
Well, all credit to Morgan Cibilic, who posted up some solid 8 points riding. In fact, there was only a few minutes to go. That was an amazing wave. The beach absolutely erupted for this one, and I thought for all chances that Jacob Willcox was going to be gone.
But then he took off on this. Look at how the board slides out. He regains a high line, and he came out the top of that. And then as he wiped the water off his face, absolutely blasted it for the perfect 10 score from the judges. I cannot believe, Gigs, how he came out of this barrel. He regained that high line, and just after that, absolutely belted that wave.
Well, a perfect 10, and guys, that's what everyone's come to see. And we were touting that Ballito this morning would offer those conditions. But I love the way that Jacob Willcox navigated through that, and then, of course, belted the lip. That's where the points were coming out today.
All right, let's take a look at the final bracket here, and it's all come down to this. Just 8 surfers left in the draw. Jacob Willcox, who we just saw vision of, will take on Kade Matson. And looking at some of those matchups there, I really like the last quarterfinal as well. The goofy foot clash, the powerhouses, a couple of guys with big thighs. Houshand and Vaast are going to take each other on in quarterfinal number 4.
Wow, I watched Houseman's heat, and then I spoke to him on the beach afterwards, and It's such a powerful unit, that guy. He's big and he's got big, strong legs, and incredible surfing from him. It's also fantastic to see the Americans rallying around their fellow countrymen at this event.
Gigs, knowing this break as you do with an eye on conditions as well as the barrels this morning, what do you think? Looking into quarters, just looking ahead slightly, back to maneuvers, the progressive surfing?
Well, if, you know, having a chat to Travis there, tomorrow the lower tides move out a little more, winds are a little softer. We're going to have a lot of those pockets, sort of 2-turn, 3-turn combos that we saw. And it's looking interesting. This now is really hard to pick a winner, because you've got the two former CT surfers, Federico Moraes and Joan Duru, going down the middle of the draw, and the young talent narrowing in from each side. It's going to be very interesting to see the story.
Some quality goofy foots ripping out here this morning at Ballito. One of them in the last heat we just saw was the French woman Vahine Fierro. She's standing by with Kai for a chat.
Wow, Vahine, last heat of the day. Waves were still looking pretty contestable though, but you had a real fight on your hands from Lara there.
Yes, you know, coming up into women's on women's, it's always like the best surfers. So like you always have to show your best surfing in those heats, and the waves looked really bad before my heat, and then we got in and it like pulsed the whole entire heat. We were getting waves after waves after waves. Like it was a really good battle. We were both like getting high scores, and yeah, it was nice.
Now, you, of course, it's not your first trip to Ballito. You're staying with Sophie Bell and her family in Salt Rock. How does it help sort of being that, having that little bit of a local support down here on the beach?
If you know the Bell family, they have like the craziest good positive energy, and so it's always a pleasure for me to, you know, like stay with them. They always welcome me like it's my family in Africa. So like I love staying with them, and they give me like really good like tips as well. You know, Tom, their son is like the lifeguard on the jet ski, so he knows all the currents, the wind, the swells. So like I think I'm staying at a good place.
Awesome. And then of course we go into quarterfinals next. What's the game plan?
Oh, I think like, you know, out here in Ballito, you just kind of have to adapt to what conditions are doing. Like this morning was glassy, this afternoon was windy, so just adapt and get to good waves, and I think that's a good thing.
Keeping it simple, nice. A message for all the people back home in Tahiti?
Yes, my dad, my boyfriend, like they're probably watching, and it's midnight right now, so thank you, and yeah, and to all the people watching, like thank you so much. You know, we feel the energy all the way here in South Africa.
Awesome, we're looking forward to seeing you in the quarters.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kai. Yeah, great stuff. Vahine Fierro looking really, really good value into the excellent range. Her surfing absolutely on point, competing well here. And it's poised pretty nicely. We're setting up. We've got the quarters decided for the men. Still got a bit more to do in that round of 16 for the women. But it feels like things are coming to a close with some really fun-looking conditions in the waiting period. Just thinking about today, which promised us absolutely some of the finest conditions they delivered this morning. Time to think about our top 5 moments of the day, and it's the big performers on the biggest stage, the heavy hitters that have been shining once again, and the young American coming in here off the back of the win by Cole Houshand, absolutely belting it out here.
Cole Houshand bringing that momentum and the form that he found in Australia straight here to Ballito, and absolutely smashing that. We look at the power this guy has on the waves. He has massive flare on his backhand, throwing a ton of spray into that northeast wind, and he's just so thick and set on his board.
Well, here's one of those team surfers that don't make the mid-season cut. Sally Fitzgibbons' name is amongst the Challenger Series, and well, that had the beach on their feet, and well, of course, everybody wants to see more of Sally Fitzgibbons here at the Ballito Pro. Just kept it moving through the pockets there as well. You saw the conditions just starting to fall apart with that northerly wind, but she read it like a book.
Leo Moniz, he won this event in 2018. He knows what it takes to go all the way to the final. And look at the quality of this wave that he chose here. Absolutely smashing it. Looks at the judges for affirmation. And he had a great heat. Powerful surfing on his forehand here. The waves were so hollow and fast. Very powerful waves. Strong here on the low tide at Ballito.
Well, moment number 2 is going to belong to Vahine Fierro, and we just heard from her, and in those conditions that were on the change, one of her scores, gentlemen, was an 8.5, and she is absolutely on point in 2023, and well, an Olympian for 2024 as well, and that's going to be at her home break, guys. So good to see her in form. And of course, enjoying the hospitality of the locals in Ballito as well. Just love the lines from Vahine Fierro. Yeah, she just brings those scores to the table, and she's on her way to the quarterfinals, guys.
Leading into the wave of the day, as we see Vahine Fierro, it can only be this: a perfect 10 rewarded to Jacob Willcox, surfing on his backhand out here in the first heat of the day. A 10-point ride. Such critical surfing. Grabs the rail on his backhand, and by grabbing the rail gets higher in the tube, exits the tube, and that is a huge lip that he high lines. And then he got another one slightly down the beach, took the confidence of that into the next one, and hammered it to take the win in that first heat.
Your number one surfer on the Men's Challenger Series, Chippo Willcox, getting a perfect 10 first thing this morning. It looked amazing in vision. I don't think that would have felt like work for Chippo, just enjoying himself here. Emphatic through to the quarters. We feel like coming to work tomorrow, though. What do we reckon, 7 o'clock? See you guys here?
I'm going to be down here a little bit earlier, Paul. Might beat you to it, but I'm all game. Let's go.
Giggs, a quick thought on another brilliant day at Ballito.
Yeah, so what has happened is the tides have moved out a little bit through the course of this week. Each day just moves further down the clock. So the low tide tomorrow is going to fall smack on lunchtime. Be interesting to see if Travis gets going early or just holds off a touch. Either way, that swell is in the water. It's not going to go away. If anything, this northerly wind's just going to push some of that energy in here. And, well, everybody's just loving Ballito. We'll all be back tomorrow, and everybody's frothing for when we get to, obviously, women's quarterfinals on the way, and then men's as well.
Answers to all of those questions tomorrow morning. We'll be back here 7 o'clock local time. In the meantime, we'll send you out with some highlights from a banging day of competition on the Challenger Series. It's all ramping up here towards finals day. Join us for more from beautiful Ballito tomorrow morning.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.